what we've seen is oil sell off 11 days prior to yesterday, and then what we saw was us dropping below 60. We dropped below the lows made earlier in the year in February on the back of an OPEC report which showed that demand growth is expected to slow down next year. So we're just playing this game now of trying to catch the falling knife, and so at some point we're going to level off here. You know, it's unprecedented to see the oil market drop 12 consecutive days, but it's really been this amalgam of supply side factors as well as demand growth concerns that have dropped us this sort of 25% since early October here.
Yeah, I think it's 28% at this point. Is this sell-off unwarranted? Has it been overdone, or do you think that this is normalizing to take into account what we've seen on both supply and demand?
What we've seen, Becky, is in early October, there was this expectation that a lot of Iran barrels were going to come off the market. And so essentially Saudi Arabia was duped into increasing production. So we saw them increasing through September and October. We've seen their exports increasing as well on the expectation that there would be this supply gap to fill because the US administration would try to reduce those Iran exports to zero. So we see Saudi putting more on the market. We've seen other OPEC and non-OPEC members putting oil onto the market because that production cut deal was just unwound in June. And so we've got more supply coming to market, and then we don't see those Iran barrels coming off the market. We're seeing all these waivers coming through, over 1 million barrels a day there. And so what that's essentially done is left the market imbalanced. And so from the US administration perspective, they've actually played this really well, whether that's intentionally or not. But they've really done a good job of decreasing that oil price. But it has been at the expense of some of those relationships there, because surely the Saudis have got to be pretty unhappy with the way things have played out here.
The Saudis are saying that they're going to be cutting production, not only for them, but they're going to be doing that as OPEC writ large. A, will that matter? And B, how weakened is the Saudi hand right now, given all of the international issues and the Khashoggi incident?
So, well, with A, yes, they can have that impact. We saw how well they've done over the last year and a half, 2 years in terms of reducing that supply glut. But the thing is, they're the ones that really have to drive that. We saw that happen last time around. And so they have to then go to all these other members of OPEC and non-OPEC, such as Russia, and say, hey, look, we asked you to cut. You helped to a certain degree. Now we're asking you to cut again. So that's going to be a pretty big ask. But at the same time as well, they're the ones that made the big sacrifice last time in cutting production. So they're the ones that are going to have to do it again. In terms of their international status, really, they're still the kingpin in terms of OPEC. They're still such a large exporter there that they're the ones that are going to be driving the market going forwards in terms of being the swing supplier, not only in OPEC, but in the world generally.